We've tried to launch into 2023 with this one great question: will we become disciples of Jesus? Now, part of this is just demystifying that word disciple, which when Jesus uses this word, and he used it a lot, it wasn't a super spiritual, churchy kind of insider word. It was simply a student, a learner, a follower. And we've tried to be real clear about this. Jesus never called anyone to be a Christian. That word Christian shows up 3 times in the Bible. Disciple is used 269 times. And in the first century, every disciple followed a rabbi. And the idea was you would draw near to them so that you could learn from them how to become like them. And here's the thing, and I wish I would have said this earlier in the series, but we are all disciples of someone or something. We were created as creatures who learn by following someone else. We learn by being disciples. That's how we're formed. So the question is never, will I follow, but who will I follow? It is never, will I be a disciple, but whose disciple will I choose to be? Will I say yes? Who will I say yes to and allow them to form me and frame the direction of my life? This is how we're created to learn. It starts when we're young and with our parents, right, who teach us how to live a certain way. Now, that process may be incredibly frustrating, and sometimes as a dad, I wonder if my little disciples are paying any attention to the voice of the rabbi, or they're just rebelling against the rabbi, or maybe they think the other rabbi in our house is, they prefer that rabbi over my teaching. But parenting is an act of discipleship. They're learning from you how to become like you. Then along the way, we become disciples of our teachers. And then it's your mentors, your community, your friend group, or even the people that you follow and track on social media. They're teaching you a certain way of life. I'll try to give you a loose example. When I was in college in Northern California, I had grown up in Texas and I had never surfed before. But freshman year, I got the surfing bug. And just down the highway from our campus were some of the best surf breaks in California. And so that summer, I had to get a job and I needed to make some money. And so I applied for and actually got a summer internship at La Jolla Presbyterian Church. Now, if you've ever been to La Jolla, has anybody been to La Jolla? Like, this is one of the prettiest places on the planet. And this is the church that I was going to be working at. And it's on the beach. Like, this is, do we have that image of, yeah, that's where the church is. So I was pretty fired up about serving Jesus and being called to this church for this job. Now, this is a surf break that the church looks out over, and it actually has a name. The locals in La Jolla and the kind of San Diego area, they call this surf break hospitals. Why do you think they call it hospitals? I'll let you use your imagination, but it's a really shallow reef break, and so if you don't know what you're doing, you may end up in the hospital if you try and surf that break. But this was this is a great job. My job that summer was to become a disciple of the youth pastor at this La Jolla church. I spent every day with him. I followed him everywhere he went. I tried to learn from him so that I could become like him. And every day he took me surfing, sometimes twice a day. And we just invited kids, invited students. And we went out and we surfed. And this was my job all summer long. Like, it was the best job ever. I didn't want to go back to college. I just wanted to stay with the rabbi. Now, when Jesus invited people to become his disciples, there was a certain kind of simplicity to it. It meant that they would literally be with him and go wherever he went so that they could learn to do some of the things that he did. And for his first disciples, the reality and the cost of discipleship was a bit more clear. Like, they had to leave certain things behind. Family or jobs or commitments so that they could go and be with Jesus as he walked from region to region, showing them what life in the kingdom looked like. And see, even though we can't physically be with Jesus in the same way, the call remains the same. Will you decide that the most important thing that you can do with your life is to be with Jesus so you can learn from him how to become like him, no matter the cost? Even though we cannot literally walk and be covered by the dust of the rabbi like Peter and James and John, we can live in his constant presence. If you remember back, if you were here for the way that we open this series. As Jesus left this world and he gave his disciples this promise, he said, "Behold, I am with you always." He is with us. Jesus wants to be with you if you'll ask him and if you want him to. And with him as his disciples, we can actually learn to do the things that he did. We can learn how to pray the way that Jesus did. We can learn to love our enemies. We can learn how to bless those who say terrible things about us and trash our reputations. We can be kind and honoring and loving to people with whom we deeply disagree about things like politics and social issues. We can walk the second mile with someone who's oppressing us. We can give to the person who asks without any condition. Jesus will actually show us how to live like that. So, will you say yes to following Jesus? And will you trust him? Will you become his disciple? This is the great decision of life.